Welcome to the Community Warehouse. This is Imran Nanlawala. And before we begin our episode today, I want to remind everybody about this amazing professional development opportunity we have for teachers on June 24th and the 25th. School's out, but learning continues. We're going to have a 2-day online conference for parents and educators. And Habib Qadri, myself, Suleiman Jenkins, and Sadia Sharif will be leading these sessions, which will help ensure teachers are utilizing their summer to continue their professional development and learning. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Islamic Relief. So please do check out Islamic Relief. And without further ado, I would like to welcome everyone back to another episode of the Community Warehouse. And today we have a very, very special episode. We're going to have an individual who is set to receive the Order of the Medal of Australia. Abdullah Khan is an individual who's been in the educational sector for over 33 years, with approximately 18 years as a principal, academic consultant, and CEO and executive principal. In his principal consultant position for 5 British IB schools in Qatar, he provided advice and guidance on academic, financial, and legal matters, including building and establishing a new school. Abdullah has chaired the Islamic Schools Association of Australia from 2013 to 2016, and again since 2018 to the current date. And he contributes tremendously to the Islamic schools in Australia through his voluntary leadership position. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Mr. Abdullah Khan. Mr. Abdullah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, good. And yourself?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for asking. And it's a pleasure and honor to have you on today to learn about your journey, to learn about all these exciting and amazing things that you've done in the field of education. Without further ado, obviously the big news is that you've received, or you'll be receiving, this Medal of the Order of Australia, which is a very prestigious recognition. Could you tell us about what this award means to you personally, professionally? And for those who are not Australian, can you just give us a little bit of an introduction to the award itself?
Alhamdulillah. No, Jazakallah khairan. It's an absolute pleasure to be here in this podcast.
Thank you.
This award is awarded twice in a year in Australia, on Australia Day, on 26th of January, as well as on King's birthday. Basically, it recognizes the services of Australian citizens at national level and their contributions towards the community and towards humanity at large. So the nominations come from the community, and then they are considered over a period of 2 years, and then a decision is made by the council, which is chaired by the Governor General as the representative of the King. And then the awards are announced on King's birthday, and they are awarded after a couple of months in a ceremony. So I'm, alhamdulillah, fortunate to be one of those awardees this year. And I'm quite humbled on this announcement. And I believe that this award belongs to the community, basically, and my team who have been supporting me in all these causes that I've been working on. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. And obviously, we're not people who show off and boast, but I'm sure personally you must be very excited to have been selected for the award.
Alhamdulillah, definitely I am. Yes. Yeah.
And then typically, when we find or we interview someone who has reached a pinnacle in their given industry or sector, we fixate on the award. But I'd like to ask you about maybe your early childhood, or we're going to go over some of your history in education, but even before you officially started in education, what in your childhood or in your young days led this passion for the field and sector of education?
Alhamdulillah, I was born and brought up in Pakistan. And I have got my basic education and up to the graduation in Pakistan. In the school age, I had the passion to become a teacher, in fact. So I chose after year 12 to go for a teaching degree. In fact, during that degree, I found many opportunities in terms of student associations to get closer to the religion and be part of those associations who were contributing at the time towards religion and understanding religion in its true spirit, and getting closer to understanding the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet Hadith, and having those sessions to discuss and to have deeper understanding. Alhamdulillah, that has contributed towards my personal growth, and obviously it encouraged me to learn more about Islam. So that's in fact that has played a key role in pursuing that career. And my vision and my thoughts are that through teaching you can bring revolution, you can bring a change in the society. So alhamdulillah, because of that reason, I chose this profession. And in fact, after completing my education, not too soon after that, I decided to move to Middle East. So my teaching career, in fact, commenced in Doha, in Qatar.
MashaAllah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So in Qatar, I taught for about 9 years in an educational setting. It was kindergarten to year 12 school. After about 2 to 3 years, in fact, I was fortunate to get a middle manager role, where I was supervising a scientific club and managing some of the areas of the school. So I spent 9 years there. That progressed my career further into teaching. And then in 1999, in fact, I decided to move to Australia with my family. And I started teaching initially in the public sector here. So for about 2 to 3 years, I taught in public schools in the country towns in Western Australia. And then my, in fact, eldest son was becoming school age, about 4 years old. And I decided to move to Islamic schooling sector. So back in 2003, I started teaching in the same college where I am at the moment. After about 1.5 years, I applied for a principal role in another Islamic school, Al Hidayah Islamic School in Perth. And I was selected as principal. So I worked there for about 5 years in that role. And then I got an opportunity to move back to Qatar, where I, in fact, was supervising 5 schools there, 4 British and 1 IB school. The unique thing about those schools was that those schools, contrary to usual international schools in the Middle East, had a vision to inculcate and to retain the Islamic identity of the children. So they were international schools, but the focus was on religion. And because that's my passion, and I believe that working in that environment aligns with my ethos and with my vision. So I enjoyed working there, alhamdulillah, for a couple of years. And then this opportunity came for this college, for this role of executive principal and CEO. And I applied here and I moved back to Australia. I have been in this role for about 12 years now. And this role gave me the opportunity to contribute towards Islamic schooling sector in particular, and beyond that to the Muslim community at many levels. That gives me the internal deep satisfaction when I'm able to contribute in any way towards this cause of educating Muslim children in an environment where they can not only retain their Islamic identity, but also they graduate and become proud Muslims, and are willing to contribute towards not only to the Muslim community, but the community at large, and they become the ambassadors of Islam. So when I moved back to Australia at the time, because of the media and some of the politicians who have diverse views about Muslims, it was quite challenging in the community, and there were many barriers for Muslims. every single day you will see something in the news criticizing Muslims, highlighting anything negative that they could find, and implying that towards the religion rather than individual acts of
Right.
Muslims.
Mm.
So we started working with various at various levels with the government departments, in fact, and the media at the same time. And through many initiatives that have taken place over this period of time, we see a big change now. We don't see that negative agenda being highlighted in the media um, quite often now. And we more often we see now the positive impressions of Muslims highlighted and their contributions highlighted in the media, which has made a difference, in fact. And there are a couple of things that I would like to highlight in particular. From 2013, in 2013, we negotiated and established WA Police Muslim Advisory Group. The role of that group was to create bridges between WA Police and the Muslim community, and to expel any misconceptions and myths that have been in the mainstream society. We observed that the proportion of Muslims uh, in the WA police was minimal. So we started working on that, and we worked with the police academy to look at the recruitment process for police. And we highlighted certain barriers that were stopping people from Muslim background and the multicultural communities to get into police. And they were quite open, and they, in fact, made some changes in the recruitment process to give level playing field to Muslim communities and multicultural communities, and to remove those barriers from the recruitment process. As a result of that, we have seen significant number of Muslims joining WA Police. And then we introduced a program at our colleges, WA Police Cadet Scheme, where our young Muslims from year 9 and year 10 level are able to join that group and go through the training and a special program. And the police, WA Police, have been supporting us and providing, in fact, training, coming back to the school and providing different sessions to the students. That program obviously has helped in developing that collaboration and that relationship. And in fact, what we have seen in the multicultural communities, in particular Muslim communities, that people who come from overseas, they have certain experiences and certain beliefs about policing because of the circumstances they've gone through, and because the way they have suffered because of the situation that is back home. And they have got same concept and same understanding that the police works back home here, which is quite different here. So this sort of collaboration with WA Police and through this cadet scheme, we have seen that a positive relationship has been built between police and our community, and those misconceptions have been removed, and people see now a positive role in terms of what WA Police is doing in terms of eradicating crime from the community, in fact, and they see their own people as part of police. So that's one aspect that I've been working on. The other aspect that from 2018, I was appointed on the Ministerial Multicultural Advisory Council. So this is a body that is chaired by the Minister for Multicultural Interest in WA. And the role of this body is to, in fact, advise the state government on any legislation that is being proposed in the parliament, if it has any implications for the people from multicultural communities in general and the Muslim community in particular. So, and through that forum, we were able to establish a multicultural framework. And then all the state government departments were given an action plan based on that. And every department has to report back to this council on the progress. So we had this platform available to raise any concerns in relation to the Muslim community. Any new legislation that comes up and what are the views of the Muslim community and how it could impact the Muslim community. Any barriers that our community is facing to get employment and other services from the government in terms of health and education and the rest. So this platform has provided us an opportunity to have our input and our feedback in terms of government processes, in terms of services that the government is providing to the community, and in terms of removing any barriers that the community was facing, and in terms of developing a good relationship with the media as well. So whenever we have any issue or any challenge, we bring it up in this forum, and that forum works as a liaison to bring in other departments from the government sector, as well as from the private sector, and developing relationship with the media, providing training to our people how to confront and how to face media if there is any question raised by the media or any incident happens, how to respond to that. So that sort of platform has provided us lots of opportunities to benefit as well as to have a positive impact on the community in terms of government processes and government legislation. So another aspect that I would like to highlight is that Alhamdulillah, we have more than 70 Islamic schools in Australia, and this sector is growing at a very fast pace because of many factors. I mean, one of the factors is obviously the migration. People are moving from different states, people are moving from other countries, and the number has grown significantly. Second factor is that the Muslim schools are able to establish their brand and their quality in terms of academic excellence, in terms of diversity of options available, and in terms of improving their religious focus in education.
Can I pause you right there? Because
Yes,
you
sir.
mentioned the Islamic schools, you said they established this excellence. So what do you think it is about the Islamic schools that help? What is it about the community, or what is it about the curriculum that helps us excel and exceed in that category?
Okay. Now, I would like to just make a brief comment on the system of education in Australia and how Islamic schools fit in that from this perspective. We are, alhamdulillah, very fortunate that and in a unique position in Australia, where the Islamic schools are funded by the government at the same rate as a Catholic school or an Anglican school, alhamdulillah. So more than 80% of the funding for us to run and operate an Islamic school comes from the government. And the parents' contribution is only 15 to 20%. That helps us in terms of getting quality staff and providing quality resources and services to the community. So we are in a very unique position from that perspective. I mean, in many other countries, there is a limited funding for Islamic school or no funding in some cases. But we get, alhamdulillah, significant amount of funding from the government, which helps us to progress Islamic schools. Now, in terms of your question that 10, 15 years ago, the reputation of Islamic school was that they produce low quality, mediocre students, graduates, and people were still sending children to Islamic schools because of the concerns that they have from the public system. But the number of students and the quality of students that we were getting were the ones that do not fit anywhere else, or because of certain issues that those students can't cope with another school and they were moving there. The schools were not attracting good quality students and were not able to maintain their enrollment at schools because of those issues and challenges that were there. So we have worked from two perspectives in Islamic schools in Australia. One is to provide good resources and good facilities at par with other schools. And two is to have a strong focus on the quality from both perspectives. One is that to focus on those children who aspire and who have the potential and capacity to produce results, to have a strong focus on academics for those children. And those children who have got aspirations to move to other trades and other areas, to provide a lot of options to those students as well, so they can achieve the best in whatever they aspire for. So in previously there were very limited resources that were provided. The focus was not on those children who have got other aspirations or interest in other areas. But that shift in the last 10 years has made a big difference, that we need to cater for every ability that has come to the Islamic schools, in not only in terms of those producing good results, but also those who opt to go to other professions. So that was one area that was lacking. And Alhamdulillah, I'm glad that in the last 4 years, based on the last 4 years' results, I mean, the college that I'm operating, we have got 4 campuses, 3 campuses in Perth, Western Australia, 1 campus in South Australia, in Adelaide, and we have got 2 more campuses under construction, which will commence operation from next year. So currently, we have more than 4,300 students from kindergarten to year 12. So, in the last 4 years, based on the results of National Assessment for Literacy and Numeracy, all our 3 schools in Perth have been placed in the top 20 schools in the state. The state has got more than 1,100 schools. Based on our year 12 results, we are placed in the top 30 schools in the state, which is, alhamdulillah, a unique achievement that the Islamic schooling sector has focused on and has achieved, alhamdulillah. So that's one aspect. The second aspect that I would like to highlight is that the focus has increased on the values integration, on the Islamic integration, not only on the religion studies and Quran reading and tajweed, but also on the integration of Islamic heritage and Islamic values into other learning areas like English and maths and science. And Alhamdulillah, we do not have any conditions from the government in terms of Islamic integration or providing Islamic environment to the students. So we have full freedom. We have been given a curriculum that we have to teach. Obviously, that's mandated by the government. But in terms of integrating Islam into any learning area, that's our discretion and it's up to us, and we have full freedom to do that. So that focus has obviously produced results not only academically, but in terms of producing responsible citizens who are proud Muslims, who are proud of their identity. And one thing that we have worked in particular, and to eradicate the misconception that some of the community has, to distinguish between assimilation and integration, and to make it clear through our different initiatives and through our strategic planning, through our action planning, that the community is well aware and our students are well aware that our focus and our vision is not to assimilate. Our focus is to integrate. And because we know that through history, that those people who assimilated, they've lost their religious identity and they've lost generations. And we have seen and we have observed in Australia those Muslims who came 150 years ago, 200 years ago, the Cameliers. Many of them have got Muslim names, but they don't even know that they are Muslims because they assimilated, losing their identity. They became like anybody else. The beauty of Australia is that it is proud to be a multi-ethnic and multicultural society, and it encourages integration. It does not require you to lose your religion or your ethnicity or your cultural background, your language, which is what we are promoting. So we have promoted this, that our agenda is integration, not assimilation. Integration, you have to maintain your religious identity, you have to maintain your language, and you have to be a proud Muslim, and you have to be positive contributor to the mainstream society. So that's what we have been working on in the Islamic schooling sector, that we produce those Muslims who are responsible citizens and who are positive contributors to the mainstream society, but they are not shy to call themselves Muslim. They are proud to call themselves Muslims. Alhamdulillah. So that's what I wanted to highlight in terms of contribution of Muslim schools in Australia.
Sure. So one thing I wanted to ask you is, obviously you've done a lot of work when it comes to dialogue and emphasizing the multicultural element of being an Australian and Australian Muslim. So for those of us who are from an older generation and who find this type of dialogue difficult, or find having these conversations are difficult, what could you say very quickly are some of the benefits, like over the years of now, engaging with the police force or the police department, probably other faith-based groups, other educational bodies? Give our community some highlights, like, what were some of the tangible, not the benefits that your specific community got, but just some of those holistic benefits you get from having these type of conversations.
Yeah, the one thing I would highlight, that some of the community members believe that we will protect our religion and our belief system better if we get isolated. So the solution is not in isolation. We have to keep the dialogue open. We have to collaborate. We have to work with people from other faiths and other backgrounds. Without that collaboration, it is impossible to break those barriers, to build those bridges. And as I mentioned earlier, that we should be very clear that our agenda is not assimilation, it's integration. And through integration, you can successfully operate, you can successfully live your life, you can successfully have your generations protected, their religious identity and their cultural background and their language, and while positively collaborating with other communities and with government. And so the key is that we cannot live in isolation. We have to have dialogue, we have to communicate, we have to work collaboratively. And I've seen from my experience and our community here in Australia that we were in a position where every single day we were seeing in the limelight, in the first page of every newspaper, something negative about Muslims. Through that dialogue and through this communication and collaboration, now we come to a stage that we very rarely see that sort of media coverage against Muslims. And we were rarely seeing any positive contributions made by the Muslims in the media. Although there were many professionals at professional level, doctors, engineers, in any field, you name it, the Muslims were contributing. But that contribution was not highlighted. But when we opened this dialogue, we were able to project the contributions of Muslims in the mainstream media, and to misspell those misconceptions, and to build a positive relationship, not at the cost of losing our identity and not at the cost of losing our language and our heritage. So these fears that some people from our community have, that if we open up, if we have a dialogue, if we communicate, we will lose something, or that will be at the cost of something. I think we have to get out of that shell, and we have to have a positive relationship, open communication, and that I'm sure that communication will help in terms of having a successful integration, successful life for our generations to come, good education, positive contribution to the community, as well as developing future plans and strategic plans for our community, inshallah.
And then, so a great answer, I think a very motivating factor if people can understand that, obviously only through dialogue and interactions are we going to be able to share our viewpoints, our beliefs, and things of this nature. And it goes hand in hand with also dawah, right? Where, we have to engage with the people to an extent. So
True.
The last question I had for you was, okay, so, this is what you've achieved. This is what you as a team, as a community have achieved. What's on the horizon for the college? What's on the horizon for the Islamic school systems? Where do you see the next 5 to 10 years going?
Yeah. So what we have seen is that there is a huge demand now for the Islamic schooling sector. And there are various factors for that. But most importantly, as I said, that offering quality education and having a strong focus on religion and providing a protected environment where our children can grow and nourish their spiritual needs freely and maintain their religious identity. We are at a position where all of our schools are full up to capacity. So we had no option but to open new schools. Now we are building 2 new schools, which will cater for another couple of thousand students. Similarly, in other states, the Muslim community is planning to open new schools because at the moment, the demand for the Islamic schooling sector is at the peak. And we have to plan and we have to provide resources to open new schools. So I see that at the moment we've got 70 schools. Very soon it will become 100, and it will keep on growing because of the demand and because of the support that we're getting from the government in terms of school operations, alhamdulillah. So I see that for a Muslim child, the best environment a school can provide is in Islamic schools in terms of quality education, in terms of protecting their religious identity, and getting good religious education well integrated into all learning areas, a holistic approach that the schools are able to provide. And that's the best solution that I can see and the advice that I can give to the Muslim community, alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdullah Khan. Very, very rewarding interview, learning about very interesting dynamic, right? Just listening to everything that you mentioned about the Australian society and the fact that even the Islamic schools are funded partly from the government. I think something that, that's not the case in America mostly. So, and the fact that you guys can still have your own curriculum and, hold on to the values and belief system. So that's very fascinating. And again, congratulations on the award that you're winning. We look forward to seeing the videos and the pictures from the ceremony, and we look forward to the your future journey and hoping, like you mentioned, the opening of the new Islamic schools, the expansion of the Islamic college. So best of luck. May the Most High reward you and give you strength. And we look forward to hearing from you again.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much.
And everybody, thank you for attending. And we'll share Mr. Khan's LinkedIn profile if you'd like to get a hold of him in the comment section of this video. So please feel free to ask him any questions and via LinkedIn or any other social media profiles that he'll share. And once again, we'd like to remind everybody about Schools Out, but Learning Continues on June 24th and 25th, which is next weekend. We have Habib Qadri, a former National Distinguished Educational Leader in America, Mr. Suleiman Jenkins from Johns Hopkins University, and Ms. Sadia Sharif, who is very so expert in the accreditation of schooling systems and as an expert in her own right. So please join us on the 24th and 25th. You can register at the wallawayfoundation.com, wallawayfoundation.org/schools out, and we look forward to seeing everybody next time. Thank you.